Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're taking a look at a build that turns our Hunter Supers into a fourth spammable ability. Like normally you have this entire bar that you need to get through to generate your super, but in this build, it's realistically just 20% or less, and I do genuinely mean that. And then on top of having your super every 20 seconds, this build exploits hunters to have good survivability, good outgoing damage, and surprising ability spam even in neutral when you're not inside of your super. Also, if I can throw any other buzzwords that'll get you interested in this video, imagine those right now. With that said, before we dive deeper into the build, I want to remind you guys that you should subscribe to the channel, and also down there in the description there is a dim link. That way you can grab this build for yourself really easily. There are also timestamps down there that we can skip to this video, get whatever information you want, whether it's armor mods, just the fragments. All of that is labeled down below for your ease of use. But as payment, a subscription would be really nice. I do my best to put out informative Destiny 2 content, whether it's guides or builds or anything. If you want to see the end of Destiny 2 covered, this is the place to be. Also, I do stream quite a few times a week over on Twitch, so please come over there and say hi to me. That would make my absolute day. I'm trying to get that going. We're trying to try out some other games like Soulframe, Path of Exile 2. So if you're interested or you just want to say hi, again, my Twitch linked in the description. It would be incredible if you said hi there. But before I continue to yap about stuff that you don't want to hear about, let's actually dig into the build. And to begin the breakdown, we're actually going to start with the armor set bonuses that this build uses. And also, this is important to say first, as the armor that we use today comes from Iron Banner, which is only around every 4 weeks. As of uploading, this is the next calendar week, but I bet you'll see using a rare armor set like this is well worth it. Also, it gives you something to look forward to doing in the final content drop Destiny will ever have. But the armor set of choice is the Iron Battalion set. Its 2-piece bonus reads: primary honing, increases handling and reload speed for primary ammo weapons. Primary ammo weapons gain increased damage against non-boss combatants based on your weapon's stat. Now, honestly, it's not a bad bonus for 2 pieces, but it's not the reason why we use this armor set. We use it for the 4-piece super cyclical, and reads: final blows while your super is active, refund super energy when it ends. So this is a very simple bonus, and the way it works is that you will get super regenerated for each kill you get up to 6 per super. Each kill is worth about 5%, up to a maximum of 33%. And yeah, this is pretty cool on its own. Getting 33% of your super back on like every time you use it is very nice, but we are going to double, triple, and quadruple dip into super generation so that our super is again only on a 20% cooldown at all times. Which, popping up here, the next thing to double dip into super regeneration takes us to our exotic armor piece of choice. And this is where I gotta warn you or tell you that we're using an exotic class item. But before you get worried about that, I have a couple things to say. To mitigate RNG, do note that there is the attunement that you can do with the ghost within the Lost City within the Pale Heart. This will guarantee that the class items you get have at least your selected perk. And more than that, you can buy tons of class items from Xur thanks to the higher strange coin cap that Monument of Triumph added. And then as for the last bit of RNG mitigation, for this build, you only need one specific perk. The second that you get with whatever is optional, so as long as you're attuned, you can make this build work. As for what that necessary trait is, well, it is Spirit of Galanor. This perk reads: hits and final blows with your super will return super energy after it ends. In game, we can show this off, and it's actually going to refund our super a bit slower than the rate that super cyclical does, which is our 4-piece bonus. However, it caps at 50% super regenerated, or 30% if you're using Golden Gun or Silk Strike specifically. But if we combine this class item with our 4-piece armor set bonus, at 11 kills, we get max super regeneration, and as you can see, we get like 65% of our super back. I think exactly it's 63%. And this means we already need less than half to get our next super, and this isn't the shortest the cooldown is going to get. Also, coming back to our exotic class item to quickly talk on the other things that you can use. Right now I'm running Spirit of the Lyre, which increases our melee damage, but you could use things like Spirit of Syntheseps, which also increases melee damage, but it's a little bit more forgiving. Or you could do Spirit of Star Eater or Spirit of anything. It really doesn't matter here, and this is very much up to you and your playstyle. Personally though, my god roll is Galanor plus Syntheseps, and we'll talk a bit more about that later when we talk about our subclass. which is actually right now. So taking a look at that, we want to start with the super that we use in this build, and that is going to be Silk Strike. This roaming super will be the best way that we can abuse our low super cooldown. We can rely on this ability to clear rooms in safety thanks to the massive damage resistance we get when in super. This super does really good damage against single targets with its left click, or we can use it to clear groups of ads with the right click. That also does pretty good damage against trash enemies. For our class ability, we are using Gambler's Dodge so that we can refund our melee ability whenever we use it. That melee ability will be either Combination Blow or Threaded Spike. If you like being up close and personal, Combination Blow is your best bet as it'll heal you and it does a ton of damage. And it's a really good ability to pair with Spirit of the Liar. But if you like to play a bit further back like me, then Threaded Spike is going to be your best option, especially if you have Spirit of Syntheseps, because when you have that activated, this ability gets kills very easily. As for our grenade, we're going to be on Grapple Grenade. This does good damage, it counts as melee damage for our class item perks, and it helps us move around. This is genuinely my favorite ability in the entire game. And moving on to our first aspect, we're going to be using Stylish Executioner. This aspect reads, feeding a target affected by any elemental debuff grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a Stylish Execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens targets. In game, we can see this happening as we kill any debuffed enemy. It could be with our class ability, our grapple, our transcendence abilities. All of it is going to make us invisible if we kill them, which means we're invisible pretty much all the time, giving us just that much more survivability. Also, you might have noticed that we use our class ability to kill some enemies, and that is because we are using the Ascension aspect. This aspect reads, while airborne, consume your class ability energy to summon your arc staff, propelling yourself upward and creating a burst of energy around you that amplifies allies and jolts targets. We can see us in game using Ascension again. This will jolt and kill enemies, while it makes us amplified, which is a 15% damage resist. We can also see that Ascension is refunding our melee charge, which means it still activates the dodge that we have equipped under it, making this ability very, very good and a no-brainer pick. But now for the last bit of our subclass, we have our Fragments. The first one is Facet of Hope, which will recharge our class ability a little bit faster whenever we have any elemental buff, which is all the time because our dodge makes us amplified, which is an elemental buff. After that, we have Facet of Purpose, which will give us some survivability that depends on whatever our equipped super is. For the case of Silk Strike, that gives us Woven Mail whenever we pick up an orb. Then after that, we have Facet of Blessing, which will cause melee final blows to begin health regeneration. This is very nice for survivability, as whenever we're using Threaded Spike or Combination Blow, we get a lot of health back. And then lastly, we have Facet of Protection, which just gives us extra damage resist when we're near enemies, which is literally all the time in the current sandbox. Now, the next topic before we really dig into generating more super is our weapon choices. And here, they can be literally anything. I love to say that when I make builds, is that I really don't like to restrict weapon choices. If you're going into a raid, if you're going into a champion activity, I don't want to force you to use a specific gun, and that is much the same with today's build. However, there are some recommendations. If you have a weapon with attrition orbs like multi-mock, that's going to make you more orbs, which means more super generation. Or you could even use something like bad juju if you wanted to. That exotic is literally all about generating your super. I don't really like that exotic, but you might like it, and this is a perfect build for that type of weapon. The only thing that pretty much always stays on for me is either an eager sword if I want to move fast, or the A499, which is the heavy sniper, because it's kind of unrivaled in boss damage. Now, coming off our weapon options, the next big piece of this build is the artifact that we choose and how we build it. There is one artifact with one small perk that fast tracks us to our super, and that is the Queen's Foil Sensor. As for how we build it, the first thing we have is the most important one, and that is Wished into Being. This perk will generate an extra group of 3 orbs whenever you get an ability kill while above 60% of your super bar. In game, we can see this happening, and these orbs will give us like 20% of our super, meaning on top of the 60% that we get back from our armor, the artifact does another massive chunk. As you can see, we just need a tiny little bit and we actually have our next super, even if our super just ended. Back into the artifact though, as for the rest of the build, The next thing we have is Armor Smith, which will give us damage resist whenever we break a shield. Also a little bit of increased melee damage. It's kind of passive, I don't really think about it. Then we have Revitalizing Blast, which will cause champions to ignite when they stun. Again, another passive thing. It's kind of a pattern with this artifact. After that, we have Unraveling Orbs. This only benefits us if we have a strand weapon, but we get Unraveling rounds whenever we pick up an orb. Then we have Dragon's Bite, which will sometimes suspend enemies if we break shields with a strand weapon. Again, kind of need a strand weapon to happen. If you don't have a strand weapon, doesn't really matter. There's nothing else on this artifact that's too great. And then lastly is 2 Shreds, where dealing sustained damage to severed targets will unravel them, and defeating severed targets creates a hotspot of strand energy, which gives us and allies Woven Mail whenever we're near it. In this build, the best way to get Sever is using our Threaded Spike melee ability. And then lastly, we have Horde Shuttle, which will cause threadlings to spawn on unraveled enemies, which the last perk causes. Now, for our final topic, before we talk about how you need to pilot this build, we have all of our armor. The stats that we hope to start off with are 100 plus super, if you can manage it, and then at least like 70 class, and then the rest can go into melee. You could try to get 200 super, like right near I have 150, but seeing as we aren't using our super for boss damage, the damage at base is pretty good. Anything bonus though should go into melee, as that's going to be one of your most lethal and most spammed abilities. As for the armor mods, on the helmet, we run 2 hands-on plus a siphon for your most used weapon. For the arms, we run double heavy-handed, so melee and grapple kills will make orbs on a shorter cooldown. Then we run a focusing strike, so melee damage also refunds our dodge just a little bit. Then our chest piece is just for resist mods. Our legs get a recuperation, so we get a bit of health on orb pickup, then an insulation to recharge our dodge on orb pickup, and then an absolution to get a bit of all of our abilities back on orb pickup. Then our class item gets a Reaper, so that we make an extra orb after using our class ability, a powerful attraction, so that we can pick up nearby orbs whenever we use that class ability, and a special finisher to make special ammo. But now to tackle the gameplay loop, the first thing we need to do is get our first super. Unfortunately, that one will take the normal amount of time to get, but after that, we can pretty much spam them. To begin, we play pretty standardly. We use Ascension to become amplified, which gives us damage resist. We grapple around, use our melee ability, whether that's Threaded Spike or Combination Blow, to handle enemies. Using our class ability, getting melee kills, and getting weapon kills will all be spawning orbs and dealing damage, which both of them generate our super. This is just pretty much the most standard gameplay you can get for Prismatic Hunter. Once we have our first super charged though, we really want to use that ASAP. If you see a group of ads of about 5 or more, pop the super. Silkstrike can take out a lot of ads in one click, meaning you don't need to have 15 enemies on screen at once to get your super back. You can literally see one group of ads, clear them out when you cast your super, and then grapple over to the next one, even if they're pretty far away, as Silkstrike gives you infinite grapples. Or you can even get like 6 kills with one super or one click, and then lay into a beefier target like a champion and get the rest of your super back that way. Using Silkstrike, using your super as a way to clear ads with tons of survivability is the best way to use it. After it ends, you immediately get 60% at least of your super back, and now you kind of just go back to normal. After a couple kills, Wished into Being will activate and give you another chunk of your super, and all those kills will be giving you small little chunks too. The most you'll ever have to regenerate is like 20% of your super with this build, which again, with all the way that we make orbs and get more super energy, that is done very quickly. Ultimately though, this is a very passive and kind of standard Prismatic Hunter build that you can take into whatever you want. But the name of the game is Super Spam, and it does it very well. With that, thank you for getting this far into the video. Remember, there's a dim link down in the description that you can grab this build for yourself. Also, Brennan, if you're watching, this one's for you, buddy. But now, if you want to support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription, coming over to my Twitch and saying hi to me there, following, subscribing, all that means so much to me. Also, if you figure out how to hype the video on mobile, that would help out a ton. But if you want to support me, support the channel, you can't think of a comment down below, Super Spam. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.